Starlink, which is a satellite system. It's going to transform the internet service throughout the whole world because no matter where you live, you can get good reception. I installed it, and then I got a message saying you have to activate your account. So again, I tried to contact Starlink, and they said, stop sending so many messages. We're going to delete these messages because you're sending too many messages. I live in a rural setting, and I was having trouble getting internet, so I tried Starlink, which is a satellite system. The problem I had really was, I'll tell you at the beginning, it took me about a month for it to come from Los Angeles. So when it came, I got a notice that it had been sent and signed for by Eleanor. Tried to contact them, but they don't have any customer service. So they have a messaging system. And I waited about 3 weeks and still no messaging, no receipt, so I didn't know what to do. I contacted the people who delivered it, and they who said, yes, they delivered it. And I said, well, you didn't because it's not here. So they tracked it down with GPS that they had on the truck, and they realized that they had delivered it to Noel Leaming instead of to me. Well, that's not so good. So I told them, well, you need to deliver it to me. So they delivered it to me, and then I tried to contact Starlink again. And the only response I got from them is, we're deleting your request because you're making too many. And then I installed it, and then I got a message saying you have to activate your account. So again, I tried to contact Starlink, and they said, stop sending so many messages. We're going to delete these messages because you're sending too many messages. So I didn't know what to do, so I did a workaround, and I canceled my Starlink program because I realized what had happened is that they'd sent me the wrong Starlink. They'd sent me somebody else's Starlink. So I basically deleted the account I had and then opened a new account under the new kit, the new Starlink. And I got good reception. And then they finally got a hold of me, and they said, you can't do that because that's somebody else's Starlink. So you need to return the Starlink that you already installed, and we'll send you a new one. And I wasn't too happy about that. And then I said to them, I said, well, look, if you're asking me to pay for the uninstallation and then the reinstallation, you really need to reimburse me something for that because it's not right. I should have to do that. And they said, well, that's not our policy. We don't do that. So anyway, I complained to consumer, and they began to communicate with me rather quickly. So this was a really good thing. Instead of waiting 3 weeks, I got responses the same day, and which is really, really nice. So in the process, all of a sudden, their customer service became very good. They contacted me right away, and they helped me be able to get things done. And I got, instead of having 3 weeks or 4 weeks for the package to get there, I got it in 3 or 4 days, way ahead of time. I didn't get paid for the installation, but I did reinstall it, and it works great. And I'm just sharing the idea that complaining actually is a good thing. It gets people's attention, and if I hadn't complained, I probably would still be sitting here wondering what to do next. So that's what I wanted to share with people. They basically explained to me that they would give me 2 months free service to reimburse me for the cost of having, because I've been paying for this all along, even though I didn't get anything, I was paying for it. So they reimbursed me, so I got the money back that I had paid for a service that I didn't have. Other than apologizing, they didn't do much more in terms of help, except they did tell me that they linked the new account, the new kit, to the account that I had reopened, so I didn't have to do anything. So when the time elapsed, which was yesterday, it continued over, so I didn't lose, otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you. I didn't lose service, which was good. So there was some continuity of service that way. The thing about Starlink, though, is that it is actually a big route. I mean, it's a great service. I mean, the service is terrible, but the product is good. I get really fast internet in a place. I'm in a very rural setting. I have no phone line service. No, everything else I tried was really, really weak. I was getting 6 to 8 megabytes per second. Now I'm getting range between 150 megabytes per second up to 350 megabytes per second. So I'm in a really good place as far as internet. But the main complaint I have is service. Services was just awful. I looked online and people have made other complaints. I mean, there's other places that people have complained about Starlink service being, awful, and that they apparently have put out so many Starlink kits around the world that they didn't really prepare for the amount of support that they would need to make sure that they were installed properly and people could ask questions if they were having trouble. So it basically was an error on the company's planning that they didn't prepare for that. The actual service, when I started getting it, I mean, was decent. I wasn't happy that they didn't pay for the reinstallation, but it actually turned out that I could do it quite easily. It wasn't as hard as I thought. Yeah, so it's really just a matter of plugging in the new satellite and then plugging in the new modem. So I didn't have to reinstall the wiring or the mast or anything else. So it turned out to be a really non-issue once I realized I could do it easily. My main goal is to let people know that these big companies do respond to complaining, that if you have a complaint, you don't have to just sit and stew about it. There's something you can do about it. And I do appreciate your service because it does bring attention to the companies that don't want to have this aired in terms of giving them bad publicity. So, I mean, that's the main thing, is that people need to complain. We have a right for decent service. It's not the consumer's fault that they didn't plan ahead and get enough support people. And apologies isn't good enough. They really need to beef up their support system to cover the need. Because the thing is that these are all set up to be installed yourself. I mean, they're set up so the average person can put it in themselves, which is fine, except that everything doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. Like, you might not get the right kit. A lot of things might not happen. And if you don't have anybody to ask, you're kind of in a pickle. So it's really important that they provide service to people, and that the people who aren't getting it, they need to let other people know through the media. And hopefully that'll get their attention, and they'll do what they should be doing, which is providing more staff to answer the calls.